Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3949. Today's date is March 18, 2026. It's been almost like a night at 10:14 p.m. Alright, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. Alright, the question is: in what way does my current environment encourage or discourage good habit? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? Couple of days ago, I read a book, Atomic Habit by James Clear. Really amazing book. Highly recommend to you to read this book. I wanted to implement the value that book taught me. How do I supposed to do that? By asking question to myself and giving the honest answer. So how do I supposed to ask question? So I went to ChatGPT, kind of like I say, I read this book, I wanted to implement the value, suggest me 20 question. ChatGPT kind of like suggest me 20 question. This is one of those question. I don't know why I'm kind of like suddenly feel like a very spicy at my tongue. Shit, yeah. I just haven't really brushed my teeth. Well, after I record Artifact, I will gonna brush my teeth. I just had a dinner, okay, yeah, and the dinner is very spicy. I usually kind of like a brush my teeth after I ate my dinner, but like I just completely forget that I just kind of like have to do brush, and I just kind of like somebody just drink a lot of water, and kind of like somebody went upstairs and recording Artifact. I just realized that I haven't really brushed my teeth. So after I record Artifact, I will brush my teeth. Alright. Okay. So basically is this thing, what exactly is this question? The question is actually about that is your environment is encourage your good habit or discourage good habit? Okay, what exactly is this thing? My environment, okay, yeah. Well, my environment is not really that a kind of like a things that I wanted to implement a good habit. Let me clarify. Okay. Now regarding about brushing our teeth, I just mentioned. Okay, yeah. I am the only one who kind of like a brush twice in a day. I haven't really seen all around me no one brush teeth twice in a day. Why? Well, they think, okay, yeah, that brushing twice in a day means like that you brush in the morning, that is essential obviously, but if you are brushing twice in a day means during the night, after the night, like after you ate dinner, it considered as a kind of like somebody is this thing that like a luxury or kind of like a mazlepana, things like that. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing na I don't know how I'm supposed to explain. It's kind of like a very opinion different from who you are and what you are. Example is this thing, like you kind of like go into the office, okay, yeah, and you wear the perfume, okay, you kind of like you kind of like apply a little bit of perfume and things like that, okay. So might be kind of like people around you might gonna say, oh, you smell really good and things and that, but in my surrounding probably might gonna say like basically is this thing that oh, jastas mazla ka, like I don't really have any kind of like a word for the English word mazla ka means what, okay, but kind of like a feel like that like you are kind of like consider yourself kind of like a luxury or royal, that's why you are kind of like somebody applying the perfume. Like this is my environment, okay, am I blaming my environment? Definitely not. Well, because of this thing na, it's a kind of like a cultural thing, dude. Means like that now I belong to the India, and basically is this thing na good habit does not change the kind of like some entire society. Like it's a kind of like a thing that now a one person kind of like educate himself, he try good habit, and because of good habit the rest of his family would kind of like do this thing. Example is this thing, let's just say that if the father who kind of like reading a book and because of he has a habit to read the book, automatically their children are started reading the book. Okay, yeah. Same thing happened in the family. Everyone kind of like a brushing your teeth, kind of like a making hygiene and proper and things, and that this legacy indirectly kind of like a went towards their kids. Yeah, and this is what it is. But if the parents are not really in that particular zone, if the parents are not reading the book, or parents are not kind of like simply doing that productive habit, how should I supposed to be expected from their son or daughter should supposed to be cater that productive habit? It does not, because let me tell you one thing, habit is not kind of like a simply existing that form. It kind of like influence. Okay, yeah. Like basically this thing na ki in my surrounding, brushing twice in a day kind of like a represent as a kind of like a luxury and things and that and that. So that's why they are kids. That means like a basically me and my sister kind of like a things that na ki it's kind of considered as a luxury. Means like that we shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a brush your teeth twice in a day. Like it's not really that ki they are not kind of like a somebody oppose and things and that and that. But the problem is that na ki when you try to brush your teeth twice in a day, you need to put extra effort to brush your teeth. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Okay, everyone going to the left to the right direction. You are only one who kind of like a going to the right to the left direction. They are not kind of like a stopping you, but the problem is that na ki effort really required to go from against the flow. That is hard. Okay, yeah. Like basically this thing na ki right now I could brush my teeth, I could apply the perfume and things and that. Does they kind of like a stop me? No. Does they kind of like a somebody against me? No. But it is a kind of like a thing that na ki I am doing something different than other. So it's a like I am putting extra effort, and that extra effort considered as a kind of like a different than other, and because of it kind of like a different than other, it kind of like a felt little bit of hard. If you still not really understand, okay, let's just say we are all humans and we are cater or we are nurture according to the surrounding situation. If the surrounding situation as good as possible is it, then as a kind of like a people should supposed to be go with that thing. Okay, like if the environment are kind of like a very productive habits and things and that, then probably the kids and rest of the next generation would kind of like consider them kind of like a really good. Like if you're not really still understanding na I am kind of like a giving a lot of kind of like example, you might understand things and that. Okay, so this is what it is. Like this is what kind of like somebody that environment is kind of like somebody affect us as a affect a kind of like somebody people and things like that. So I don't know if you are kind of like listening this thing, okay, and listening this kind of like somebody listening this artifact and things and that. Okay, change comes from you. Okay, change comes from you. If you try good habit in your life, obviously your next generation consider that a new normal. Like okay, let me tell you something. If I am the particular person who reading a book, if I am the particular person who kind of like a run every day, if I am the kind of like a particular person who brush twice in a day, shower twice in a day, having that productive habit, it's kind of like a feel really hard for me. But still, if I'm being consistent throughout my entire life, then my next generation taking this habit is not kind of like a hard from them. It kind of like a felt normal for them, because taking this habit at the moment, like a brushing your teeth, perfume, shower, running, reading a book, things and that, it's hard. Okay, yeah. But if I'm being consistent and continue doing this thing, my next generation would consider them as a kind of like somebody that normal. And because of it normal, they kind of like improve much more better. Like basically this thing now, I realized the value of reading a book at the age of 31, like last year. Yeah, like basically 31. Yeah. Like let me tell you one thing, how delay I was. Till before I never really read a book, nothing really at all. Because my environment is not able to kind of like a things. I am not blaming my environment. Definitely not. like a basically is this thing, my parents are actually providing me such an environment is really as good as possible as it can. Okay, I'm not kind of like expecting kind of like a much more bigger. I'm kind of like giving the example according to it. Like basically is this thing na, ki my father's environment is way worse than that. My father's environment, when they are kind of like a kids, they haven't really get the food twice in a day. We are so privileged that we are getting food twice in a day. So like basically from them point of perspective, we are very upgraded. Okay, yeah. So basically it's my responsibility that if I take a kind of like a productive habits and things and that, then my next generation would be kind of like even more upgraded and things and that. Okay. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that improvement is always gonna happen. It's not kind of like a things that but still is this thing that if you add little bit productive habits and things, it will definitely add. Like it's very different according to the people, what they think, their surrounding, lot of stuff. But improvement kind of like a goes through time. Okay, yeah, time can change everything. Talking about this particular stuff, it doesn't really matter at all. Whatever. So let's just talk about me. Okay, yeah. So basically, do I have that kind of like an environment that kind of like somebody pushing me to kind of like execute the productive habit? Environment, no, I don't have it, but I create the environment. Okay, yeah. How? Basically, is this thing, I kind of like do all the stuff, brushing teeth, running, things that, reading a book, stuff and stuff. Okay, yeah. Does it encourage me? Well, not environment, but kind of like somebody that key habit stacking. Now, what's the habit stacking? Okay, basically this thing, I was kind of like a running. Okay, yeah, from last 5 years I was just a running, and because of I was kind of like a running for last 5 years, I kind of like simply get that thing that key I could do much more better. Like basically is this thing na ki I would supposed to be kind of like a simply read my book, reading a book and things and that. I do my content and things and that. Like basically is this thing, one good habit is a kind of like a simply influence to add another good habit in your life. Okay, so basically seeing this kind of like a habit are kind of like encourage me to do more. Okay, kind of like add so much amount of value and things and that. Okay, I have to be shift lot of perspective. How do I supposed to look at the world? What kind of like consume should I supposed to be contain? Things and that. So yeah, okay. So basically these are kind of like some stuff. But regarding about the question says that in what way does my current environment encourage or discourage good habit? Okay, let's talk about the discourage. Okay, yeah. Do I get discouraged of kind of like a continue my good habit? Well, I'm 32. Okay, I am living with my parents. I am not earning any money. Usually I early possible, like when I wake up, I usually wake up at 6:30, 7 a.m. Okay, as soon as I wake up, I brush my teeth, do my kind of like a bathroom routine and things and that. Then after that, I make tea, kind of like a chop the vegetable for the breakfast and things and that. Then I decided that I should supposed to be I should supposed to be read my book, because early morning is a very power hour, and I wanted to utilize that power hour for consuming a lot of information. So I read a lot of book. Lot of book means like basically is this thing, the book that I'm reading right now, How to Win and Influence People. This is the book that I'm reading. Okay, yeah, I read this book for hour and things and that. Okay, yeah. Then after that, I play my kind of like a some mind play game, Duolingo, Elevate. Okay, Lumosity, Brilliant. These are 4 applications that I kind of like assembly use. Then I record Artifact in the morning too, because morning time is a kind of like a very powerful and things and that. Now let's talk about the reading. Okay, because reading is a kind of like a thing that I decided to read book. But my mother kind of like say this thing that you shouldn't supposed to be read a book. No, like does my mother kind of like against the reading? No, not. like basically what exactly happened now, ki, like from my mother point of perspective, I'm trying to tell you, okay, yeah, is that ki you should supposed to be read the book. This is from mother point of perspective. You should supposed to be read a book till your education. Okay, yeah, means like that from my mother point of perspective, till the age of 30 you have to get a job. My mother kind of like say this thing, at this moment, at this age, you shouldn't supposed to be read a book, you should supposed to be do your job. Okay, and which is completely right. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, am I doing something wrong? Well, the problem is that na ki I am not doing something wrong, and as also she is not kind of like doing something wrong. There is no one wrong in that thing. What exactly is this thing na ki stuff I'm doing is for my future. Yes, I wanted to do my ambition, goal and things and that. Those ambition, goal, dreams will not gonna achieve by kind of like doing a job and things like that. My mother wanted to be a kind of like such a success that just kind of like a blend with the society, and that's it. Okay, yeah. In the society, someone says this thing that ki aapka ladka kya karta hai? What is your son doing? My mother doesn't really have any kind of like stuff to say. What she will gonna say? My son is kind of like doing YouTube. She kind of like feel really embarrassed and things like that, which is very true by the way, because I am living in such a society where kind of like credibility comes from job. What kind of like a job that you do, or at least a job. Okay, yeah. Okay, so this is what it is. Like basically is this thing, if I kind of like somebody became a kind of like somebody a YouTuber or earning so much amount of money, or kind of like somebody doing something bigger, still it's kind of like a very not so convenient way to kind of like tell a society that what is actually my son doing and things and that. Okay, yeah, because let me tell you one thing now, you are so proud to say that I am a kind of like a somebody government employee who kind of like a work in kind of like a something government office. Okay, yeah, like basically let's just say my son is kind of like a doing a job in a bank, he is a kind of like a clerk over there. My mother will gonna say very proud to say that thing. Like mother will kind of like feel very proud if she will gonna say that ki my son is kind of like somebody doing a job in railway. Okay, she will kind of like feel really proud. But but she will not gonna feel proud that she will gonna say that ki my son is kind of like doing a YouTube and he's earning so much amount of money, things and that. Why? Because like let me tell you one thing na ki scarcity, dude. Okay, yeah, like basically societal point of perspective, doing a job in bank kind of like represents safety, security and things and that. If you kind of like say this thing that ki from societal point of perspective, like being a YouTuber and things and that, it's kind of like unsecured and things and that. Now, why? Because the in my surrounding, the society is not really that much evolved and things and that. So that is true by the way. But if you went to kind of like a bigger city, metro, or kind of like something that ki Bombay, Delhi, or maybe other part of the world, which is kind of like a very strong sense of like aspiration and growth and things and that. In that point of context, people are gonna say I'm doing YouTube. They will say, oh, wow, it kind of like represent that aspiration value and things like that. They will understand what is the value of YouTube and things and that. Whatever, it's a very long story and things and that. But still, what I'm trying to tell you is this thing that na ki does my mother kind of like discourage my good habit? No, she does not. Okay, yeah, like it's a kind of like a things that na ki like how she grown up, how she kind of like somebody, how she see the world, and how she kind of like things that, because like from her point of perspective is that ki being better life means earning money. How do I supposed to earn money? By doing a job. Okay, yeah, and that is good. Okay, yeah, I shouldn't supposed to be expect from her to kind of like somebody reading a book and things and that, because she haven't really experienced in that. In her entire period of lifetime, she haven't really realized, or she haven't really knew that ki books are kind of like exist that change the world and things and that. She haven't really seen that world. How do I supposed to be expect from her? Nothing really at all. What she was kind of like expecting from me is a kind of like a really good, and there is no wrong with that thing. So I kind of like a change that, instead of kind of like reading a book in a home, I decided that I should supposed to be read book at the rooftop, so that my mother will not gonna see me, and I would kind of like read my book at the rooftop, so that yeah, like this conversation, like basically this topic will not gonna again and again and things and that and that. Okay, yeah, because like basically is this thing na ki I'm getting lot of kind of like assembly that key yelling and things and that, because I'm 32, not hurting many and things and that. Oh my god. Okay, sometimes I just kind of like feel really scared, but that is okay. Okay, yeah. Like a couple of days ago, my mother was kind of like so angry at me that I was kind of like me reading a book at the rooftop, and then my mother kind of like locked me up at the rooftop. She won't let me in inside the home. Like this is a kind of like a door that we have. Okay, that door is a kind of like a somebody close from inside. So I was kind of like a locked outside, and I was kind of like a stay there for almost like a till afternoon at 1 p.m. Then my sister came, and she kind of like she kind of like opened the door. Till then, like basically from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sorry, 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. I was kind of like at the rooftop, and I was kind of like just like like this kind of like a thing happened. But still, is this thing that I didn't really blame my mother, definitely not, because what she been through, what is actually her life, and what is actually success means to her is very right from her point of perspective, and I shouldn't supposed to blame her, nothing really at all. Okay, yeah, because success defines very different thing, na, dude. How do you supposed to be kind of like somebody expect from your parents or things that they should supposed to do things that. Like basically, if you think that reading a book is a kind of like a really good habit, or kind of like a running and things and that, you understand the value is because of that you familiar with this world, you understand the value, you understand the knowledge and things and that. How should you supposed to be expect from my mother or from parents or things like that? Obviously, is this thing that knowledge is kind of like a really good, but really essential thing na what is actually my mother expect from me? A job, not a reading a book. Her priority from me is to kind of like get a job, and that is so many times true. So that is, yeah. So am I kind of like a discouraged? Well, no, I am not. And also is this thing na, I am kind of like also kind of like a little bit of kind of like I do my stuff. Like I am like basically this thing, even if I'm kind of like someone resist me or things like that, I just kind of like do my stuff. I just don't stop myself. I just like if I wanted to do, I just do it. Okay. Even if kind of like parents are kind of like stopping me and things and that, I just do it. Okay. So at some time now you just have to kind of like somebody just take the decision, take the wheel on your hand, and just yeah. Because I realize like I don't know. Okay, like you are kind of like blaming me about so many point of perspective, which is true. Yeah, I kind of like late so much in my life regarding about that key, like till the age of 27, like basically this thing, till the age of 18, I know what I wanted to do. Yeah, I wanted to be a filmmaker. I already found my purpose at the age of 17 or 18. Literally is this thing. And I always decided that I should supposed to be go to the Bombay, go to filmmaker, be a filmmaker and things and that. But I was just thinking. I was not taking any action. I was just thinking, and I was kind of like so scared of things and that key. I don't really have any backup. I don't really have any kind of like a stuff. How do I supposed to be kind of like a go to the Bombay? How do I supposed to manage this money stuff and stuff? I was always thinking about that. I kind of like decided that go to a job. Like basically, if I do a job, then probably whatever the money that I will gonna earn, utilize that money for learning filmmaking and things and that. I just learn that stuff. But then I realized that no, it's not. At the age of 27, COVID actually happened. I came home, decided that no. Till this now, I was just thinking about achieving my goal. But since today, I just have to do the stuff. I have to take the action according to achieve my goal and things and that. So basically, is this thing na ki I started so late, like at the age of 27, I started taking action. And in this thing, I fail so much. like like basically he just think that na ki if you think that na I just taking action and then I started winning. No, it's not. I just fail a lot in so many ways. Okay, yeah. I think about like so many stuff. Like basically you are asking question that ki if you wanted to be filmmaker, then why don't you go to the Bombay? Why don't you kind of like somebody go to this? Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? Like why are you kind of like stay there and things and that and that? I know you have a lot of questions regarding about a lot of things, but let me tell you one thing na ki sometime na life is kind of like somebody showcase a very different perspective regarding about the world. Like okay, let me tell you one thing na ki purpose is a kind of like a thing that ki yes, I wanted to be a filmmaker. It's not like that ki I don't want to be a filmmaker, but the path towards to become a filmmaker is very different for me, for my point of perspective. Like I just try to imagine, okay, yeah, that ki like let's just say at the age of 22, I decided that I just have to go to the Bombay. I went to the Bombay, by the way. I went to the Bombay, and then like what exactly happened? That ki how do I supposed to manage the living condition? How do I supposed to stay there? Things and that and that. Okay, do I have relatives over there? Yes, I have it, but obviously this thing staying relatives place is not really possible. So I need a kind of like a find a place or kind of like a rent a thing, things and that and that. Now going to the Bombay, I'm kind of like thinking about every possible point of perspective that how much money do I really require and things and that and that. And in that point, like at the age of like a 22, that time was almost like a 2015, maybe 15, 14, yeah. At that time, the cost really required to go to the Bombay for a year, it would be almost like a 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh, no, so not sorry, 1 lakh. Yeah, 1 lakh rupees. 1 lakh rupees. Not year, per month. Not per month, like basically at the beginning, you will have to pay 1 lakh rupees. And then after that, you have to kind of like spend almost like a 10,000, 12,000, probably 20,000. So probably if I'm gonna kind of like a look at that point of perspective, is this thing that key probably for a year it might gonna took me like let's just say 5 lakh rupees for per year. 5 lakh rupees per year for kind of like a living there and kind of like a things and that and that. Dude, 5 lakh rupees was too much. Yeah, like basically is this thing that na ki yeah, 5 lakh rupees was too much. Now why do you really require that much amount of money? 5 lakh rupees was too much. You are no, sorry 5 lakh rupees, yeah, 5 lakh rupees was too much, not 5 lakh rupees. Like I kind of like did the calculation, like that calculation was like okay, I had did that calculation, it was probably would be like a 1 lakh to 2 lakh rupees probably. Yeah, 1 to 2 lakh rupees required to kind of like a for entire year. Okay, yeah. So how do I supposed to ask that money to my father? Okay, yeah. Now the another question is that arise that he why not I started doing a job? Okay, yeah. Like a kind of like a go to the Bombay and kind of like a started doing a job, and whatever the money that you will gonna earn, utilize that money for kind of like a filmmaking stuff and that, right? But the problem is that na ki same scenario na. Like basically I quit the job for filmmaking and then I went to the Bombay, and for the filmmaking I'm doing a job. And then what? Like it doesn't really make sense at all. Like I don't know, yeah, dude. It's just like that na ki there is a one thing that I want to that I realize very late in my life. If you have to arrive at somebody, okay, if you have to arrive at somewhere, you have to leave from somewhere. And that is true. Because let me tell you one thing na, if you think that ki I wanted to be a filmmaker, then you just completely put all your focus, purpose, everything to become a filmmaker. Don't think about that ki okay, I will simultaneously do a job and then I will kind of like simultaneously do my filmmaking stuff. It just not happened right that way. And if I try to do this thing, everyone will gonna fail. Everyone will gonna fail and things like that. And that is like a really fucked up thing. Okay, like basically is this thing na ki I'm being really honest. If I went to the Bombay and if I try to achieve my filmmaking stuff, my possibility of failure are almost 98%. 2% chances that I will got successful. And that 2% chances are kind of like a somebody successful if I get kind of like a something that key a kind of like a mysterious help from someone, then it might be. Because at that time I don't really have that talent. At that time I don't really know anything about that. I just love being filmmaking and I don't really have any technical information, nothing really at all. How do I supposed to be like yeah, I was not even prepared, nothing really at all. My failure rate was almost like a 98%. And also the problem is not that thing. If I went there and if I fail and then I came back, then what do I supposed to say to my parents? Okay, let's just say that ki I will gonna say whatever to my parents. Okay, what do I supposed to say to myself? Should I achieve my goal next time? Should I restart myself? Should I kind of like assembly? Like, let me tell you one thing, na. If you fail, then you kind of like accept that you fail, and then you fail. Like literally is this thing that na, ki you will not gonna fail until you accept you fail. Okay, like basically is this thing na, ki if I went there and if I didn't really achieve my goals and things and I just lost a lot of money and stuff like that, so I might lose that confidence that I will never gonna become that filmmaker. And because of when I lose that confidence and when I accept that thing, I will gonna never become that particular person. And since I accept my failure, then I just only one choice I have, just a traditional choice, like a just do a job and live the life and things and that. Like it's not really that I don't really think about that I would not gonna become filmmaker. I think about that, but it's not really possible for me. Okay, yeah. Like basically this is like you are actually thinking that dude, like what the fuck that you're doing? Like there are so many people are kind of like go there and kind of like achieve their goals and things and that. Why don't you do that? Dude, I am not that particular person. I am not that, like I think about practical point of perspective. Every time I try to achieve anything at all, I think about practical, that realistic point of perspective, that is it achievable or not. Like imagination point of perspective, like a basically is this thing that ki motivational story is a kind of like somebody works in everyone point of perspective. Everyone thinks that ki, oh, you are kind of like a you face that, you kind of like a you problem that many problem and things and that. Like basically from story point of perspective, it's kind of like add a lot of goosebump, but in reality it's fuck at all. Yeah, there is a lot of thing. And also another thing now, if you are not getting food twice in a day, you started forgetting your dream. That's true. That's legit true. Yeah. So basically this thing now, if you are not maintaining your essential need, what's the essential need? A shelter, a food, a kind of like a little bit clothes. If you have that thing, then probably your dreams would alive. But if you don't have that thing, your dreams will gonna kill. Like basically is this thing na, ki Nawazuddin Siddiqui is the only character, is the only person that you kind of like somebody know that ki this particular person kind of like a struggle a lot for almost like a 12 year and then he became actor. Right? So you notice only one person struggle story. Do you really think that ki Nawazuddin Siddiqui is the only one person who did the struggle? There are so many people. The successful people that you are seeing is only 1%. 99% fail. Right? And I don't want to be that 99% of the people. I wanted to be that 1% of the people who wanted to achieve the success and things and that. But still, I wanted to be realistic point of perspective. I wanted to think about that ki, okay, am I willing to able to achieve things and that? Because at that time, I don't really have technical knowledge. I don't really have confidence. I don't really have communication skill. I don't really have money. I don't really have knowledge. I was so worthless in so many point of perspective. So that's why it's not possible. Now, why does YouTube I chose? YouTube is a kind of like a thing that I could achieve my goals, not as a filmmaker, but so many things. Because when I started kind of like a being YouTube, I realized that there are so many ways that I could supposed to be earn money and things and that and that. Okay. YouTube kind of like give me a kind of like a reflection that how do I supposed to achieve my goal. Right now, in this today, like right now, my mind is not to kind of like a become a filmmaker. No, I realize this point that I will not gonna just become a filmmaker. I will become something even more better than that. I will become this person, that person, that person, that person. I think that purpose is not a kind of like a thing that stagnant or kind of like a things that you kind of like a decided that I will become a filmmaker, then you spend your rest of the life as a filmmaker. No, purpose is a kind of like a thing that a gateway. Okay, a gateway to kind of like somebody to do something different. Take an example as a Sonu Sood. Sonu Sood is a film is an actor, by the way. He went to the Bombay to become actor. He did become actor, but then after that he started doing social services, and he loved doing it that, and he's kind of like continue that thing. Sometimes purpose change is not because of that kind of like a things that like it's not because of that the intention change and things like it just changed. Like sometimes it just I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. Okay, yeah. Now at this point, do I don't want to be filmmaker? No, I want to be filmmaker. I will definitely gonna make my film Gharchi Goshta, the Marathi film that I will gonna definitely gonna make. Binary Code, this is the movie that I will gonna definitely make. And there is another movie named Nalanda. I will also make that movie too. Okay, these are the 3 movies that I will definitely gonna make. Yeah. Nalanda is also a very long thing. Like probably I wouldn't think like that. But Gharchi Goshta and Binary Code, these are the 2 movies that I will gonna definitely gonna make. It's not like that I will not gonna make that film. Whatever. Sometimes a kind of like a question is kind of like a talk about something, and I was kind of like talking about okay, so the question is that in what way my current environment is encourage or discourage. My current environment is encourage or discourage my good habit. Well, probably is this thing that if I wanted to implement good habit in myself, I have to be kind of like a do it by myself. I shouldn't supposed to be kind of like a simply something that rely on environment. If I wanted to add something good value, I just have to do it by myself. Even if I'm getting resistance or discouragement or anything, I just have to do it. Because one thing I realized that only one person can change your life, and that person is you. Yeah, that's it. Okay, yeah. If I wanted to make my life much more better, who will gonna responsible for that? Obviously me, not anyone, nothing at all. It depends on how much effort that I put. It depends on how much kind of like a something effort, believe, support. Basically I am very much privileged. Like also again, I am not blaming my parents, I'm not blaming my surrounding, I'm not blaming anyone at all. People are actually getting me, I'm very much privileged. The friends that I get, the people are around me, I am very much privileged that I'm getting this life, and I'm really thankful for them. And I'm not really expecting even more. Definitely not. My surrounding is kind of like a really good. and I am very honored to be part of those people, having those people around me. I am kind of like something very privileged that I born on this family and things and that. It kind of like give me lot of values to how do I supposed to look at the world and things and that and that. So I'm not blaming anyone. Environment will gonna change. Sometime encourage, discourage. Good habit incorporation is up to you, up to me. What I wanted to be incorporate good life, it's up to me. All right. So this isn't. It's been almost like a 40 minute. Thank you.